star say, JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. What you talking at the day? At the night part. JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. What you talking at the day? At the night part.
Welcome to JASL After Dark, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So I want to tell you all thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Calvin. JASL After Dark is brought to you by Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. You can also watch and listen to this show on JASL's Instagram page at JASL Info or on Facebook at Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. Or you can stay right here with us on the Bridge 99 FM. I also have my co-host Shade with me.
Hey. Good night, lovers. How are you? This is your girl, Shade Buckridge from Fairy Secrets. And Kristen.
Hi, good night. I'm Kristen Lang. I'm a communications specialist. Good night, everyone.
Stosha C. Anyway, it's so good to be back for another week of JASL After Dark. So, today is also International Women's Day. So tonight, we have a number of ladies who will be joining us to share their stories and how it has been for them navigating life as a woman in a male-dominated world.
Male-dominated world, indeed.
Yes, male-dominated.
That's why it's good for us to have days like International Women's Day where we can celebrate, and salute the strength of a woman. And that's what we're discussing tonight on JASL After Dark. Tonight's topic is strength of a woman. And to share in this discussion tonight, we have women who are the definition of strength. We have Camilla Brown, who is a Christian life coach who would have experienced abuse during different stages of her life. And we also have Marcia Davis, who is a single mother and living with a disability. We also have Janelle Simpson, who is an author and a philanthropist. Now, Kristen Lang is also here with us to shed some light on an issue that not most women, but a lot of women deal with, and it's not discussed often enough. And that is her experience with endometriosis. So they're going to be here with us throughout the night to talk to us. So ladies, welcome to JASL After Dark.
Welcome. Happy International Women's Day, my love.
Thank you, and to you as well.
And how has the day been?
It has been a good day. I felt a lot of love today.
Oh, nice. That's what I want to hear. All right. So since we're talking to... Can you hear me? It's good? All right. So, Kristen, I'm just going to get into it, So we have a question for our females here tonight. The first one to you, Kristen, is what does the strength of a woman means to you, and who is a strong woman in your life?
The strength of a woman to me means that you know yourself, you know what it is you're capable of, you're always trying to reach that, and you're trying to positively affect those who are around you. I think, or for me, the woman that I would say the strongest woman I know is my grandmother. She actually had her birthday yesterday. She's 99.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Happy belated birthday, Grandma.
Right, thank you. And my grandmother raised 5 children with a disabled husband. Her husband was disabled from the waist down. Oh. She raised 5 children. She was, and that's just the one aspect, right? She's just a remarkable woman. She was a teacher. She was a senior education officer in the Ministry of Education. She helped to pull together the first curriculum for the early childhood curriculum. She had to pull that together. She was also one of the first female drivers on the North Coast because she said she needed to get to work, and there was one bus that went from Montego Bay to Kingston every day, and she was in St. Anne, and she would have to wait on that bus to come and pass her in the mornings and then pass in the evenings, and sometimes she wouldn't get home till 9 o'clock at night and all of that. And it was such an issue. The bus break down, you can't go to work. Yeah. She said she had to get a car, and so she was one of the first persons driving, even before driving was something that was so popular, know?
That's the definition of strength of a woman.
Definitely.
Yup, and she comes from very, very humble beginnings too.
Right.
So, she's really the strongest woman that I know.
Strong woman indeed.
Yeah, man.
Nice. How about you, Calvin?
Well, I mean, I'm just here, really, I want to hear the stories from the women talking about their strength. So I'm taking the back seat today. I'm taking the back seat and allowing the women to really share and talk about the strength that we're here to discuss tonight.
All right, nice, perfect. All right, so Kristen, we're gonna get right into it. You know, I want to dive into it, and I'm glad you shared that strength of a woman story with us about grandma. I appreciate it. You struggle with a condition. It's called endometriosis. Can you explain exactly what it is?
Okay, so endometriosis is a condition that affects 1 in 10 women across the world. What it is that endometrial tissue, so what grows inside of your uterus, that would tell your period to come.
Right.
Some of that tissue gets elsewhere in your body and would do the same thing. So you have endometrial deposits or deposits of tissue elsewhere in your body. It can be anywhere in your this cavity here, so whether in your around your intestines, by your uterus, your ovaries, it can go elsewhere in your body. It can be in your lungs, in your eye, it can be in your brain, anywhere, and it causes severe pain. It causes severe inflammation, and there are different stages. So some persons don't have it as badly as others. Some people have absolutely debilitating pain. They can't move any day of the month.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I mean, young girls usually start experiencing their period about 12 years old or so. Was it like that for you?
With my first period, there was discomfort, and there was always discomfort. But when it became excruciating pain, that I can't go to school, and it's not just pain. It's also things like diarrhea, cramps elsewhere in your body, nausea, all of these other things. That would have been probably around 14 or 15. And it just progresses.
Okay.
It just progresses. It keeps getting worse the older you get.
And as we're still on age, at what age were you diagnosed, and how did you feel when you got that news? And do you know if it's something that is easy to diagnose?
Okay, so endometriosis is very difficult to diagnose. I was diagnosed at age 27.
Okay.
You need 10 years of pain. So you'd have to have been suffering for 10 years before your doctor can say to you, I think this is endometriosis. And then after that, the only way really to nail it down and say it's definitely endometriosis is for you to undergo surgery, for them to look and see. So you do a laparoscopic surgery, or there are other types of surgery, but laparoscopic is the most popular one, where they will go in and see that it's actually endometrial deposits and it's not something else. But yes, you have to suffer for 10 years. So most women don't get diagnosed with endometriosis until they're in their late 20s, into their early 30s. And that is if they think enough to say, let me go and get diagnosed with this thing. Right. Because we have a culture of some people just have really bad periods and that's it.
Okay. Okay. So for 10 years, you've been having excruciating pain?
I've been having excruciating pain from I was 14 years old.
Oh, yes. And were you having like heavy flow and stuff?
Yes. So I have a full 7-day period. I have excruciating pain for the first 2 days, and I will have excruciating pain for the days before that. At my absolute worst, so I would have had surgery to help remove some of the endometrial deposits, and I would have undergone treatment after that to get the rest, medicine and stuff, and injection. So the pain has been going on from then. So it's a problem. At my worst, I would have barely been able to make it out of bed. And that would have been during the pandemic.
So that brings us to our next
right,
question. It's right there.
Based on what you've
curious.
You've described, it sounds like a great deal of pain. So how did you manage on a day-to-day basis with that experience?
Okay, well, as I said, at my worst, when I could barely get out of bed, thankfully, and I'm going to use thankfully loosely because, we all had various experiences with the pandemic and, but for me, thankfully, everyone was working from home, so I was able to work from home. But on my worst days, it would just be get up out of the bed to go and get something to eat, take some painkillers and get back into the bed and do work. So that was it. Now that I've had the surgery and I've undergone treatment, I still do experience pain. It's not as excruciating or as debilitating as before.
Okay.
But it's still, it has issues. There are days when if I am able to go to work, I may have to carry a hot water bottle with me. Ensure that I'm wrapped up from head to toe, basically. So I'll definitely be wearing pants that day, maybe a warm sweater or something like that, because the heat helps. Keeping yourself warm helps.
Right.
And if I am unable to go to work, then I would obviously have a conversation with my boss beforehand to let them know what is going on. So if I'm unable to go to work, then I'll let them know I can't come in today, but I'm available in this way. I'll be working from home. So I'll have enough energy sometimes to be able to answer emails, do what's necessary, answer calls, stuff like that, but not actually get up get myself together and physically make it to work.
Boy, Christine
see,
knows to answer everything.
as,
It's all in one.
as men, we don't have the experience that women have with periods. So for us, we don't really understand sometimes. And some might say, Christine, I just extra. Have you ever had to speak with a boss or a co-worker about your experience with endometriosis and how it affected your job?
Okay, so yes, because of how endometriosis affects you, it's almost necessary to speak with your boss once you've been diagnosed, and even before that. So women who haven't been diagnosed, if you're in this type of pain and it's going to prevent you from going to work, then you have to speak to your boss and say, boy, I have really bad periods when this time of the month come. This is what happens. I'll try and work from home. There's a lot of negotiating with it. But yes, I have had a bad experience. I've had a few bosses, and some of them have been, more empathetic than others. I did have a male boss who, though I would have cleared everything with HR, he was still giving me issue, and he said to me that he's experienced a cramp before, so he doesn't know why.
Just to be clear, you said having experienced it with HR, so you mean you would have had that conversation before actually starting the job?
Well, the endometriosis conversation before starting a job is a hard conversation to have. If you are an important conversation, so let me speak to the ladies out there, right? An important conversation to have, one, is with your doctor. You get your doctor to write you a letter stating what it is that's going on with you. You find out from HR at the place that you're going to work, or if you're there already, what your leave allotment is, what is accessible to you, how they can assist you.
I'm glad you said
that. And then you move forward. So if you're going into a new job and you know that you find out you may not want to have the conversation right at the beginning, I have endometriosis, and this means that I may be absent from work more often than a regular employee. That may cause issue, but you do need to know how many days would be allotted to you, so you can maybe match them out. So if I get 10 days a year, then I can take 1 day each month.
Right, so we gotta wait. Right? So we gotta stop it there, Kristen. We have you for all night. So we're going to continue the conversation with our ladies. So today is International Women's Day, and you're listening to JASL After Dark on the Bridge 99 FM. We'll soon forward.
All right, it's JASL After Dark. Welcome back. Thank you for listening to us on the Bridge 99 FM. Reminding you that the best gift is that gift to give to yourself that's taking care of your health and ensuring that you know your HIV status. Now, tonight, for International Women's Day, we are joined by Kristen Leng, Marcia Davis, Janelle Simpson, and Camilla Brown. So we just spoke to Kristen about her experience with endometriosis before the break, and now we're going to be speaking with Marcia, who will be joining us via Zoom. Good night, Marcia.
Good night, Marcia.
Everybody.
Good
Thanks
night,
for having
Marcia.
me.
Thank you so much for
You're
joining
hearing
us.
me clearly?
Yes,
Yes,
hearing
we
you
are.
loud and clear,
Clear.
Marcia.
Cool. Hi.
All right, so we want to get right into the conversation. So, Marcia, what was life like for you growing up?
Wow. Well, I guess we don't have enough time to tell you all of it. I'll just summarize what it was. Growing up, I was like one of those you call stush person, But on the other hand, I'm like a tomboy because I love climbing trees and stuff like that. But it was simple. I had a simple life, growing up. I didn't have much friends. I didn't like keeping friends. I really still don't. But basically, it was just a simple life growing up. Yeah.
Okay. Marcia, you're currently a paraplegic confined to a wheelchair. Were you born like this, or can you share your story?
No, I wasn't born like this. In 1999, I was shot. It affected my spinal cord, so I'm not able to walk. So it's kind of bitter, but sweet because I'm still alive. I was shot in the head, I was shot in the back, and I'm still here. I didn't lose consciousness at the time. I hadn't cried. I still don't cry about it yet. Excruciating pain and all of that. I just have to give thanks that I am alive.
Definitely.
Because at the time I had a 4-year-old, and When, you have to be in the situation to understand when your 4-year-old look at you and say, "Oh, mommy, you're bleeding to death. But if you die, I'm going to die too." And I'm like, "Mommy ain't going to die." So you just have to find that strength anywhere. So I just feel that if I had cried, that would have been the end of it. So I just tough it up,
Yes.
just tough it
And,
up. I know that, I have to be strong enough for her and to live for her.
Strength of a woman.
yes.
Yes.
Marcia,
Yeah.
I really want to know. You would have had your life having the use of your legs and now being confined to a wheelchair. What was that transition like? How was that for you?
To be honest, I don't know where the strength came from, but while I was being transported to the hospital, I was like, praying and all of that, whispering a word, because all I wanted was to live for my daughter,
Right.
because I wanted to see her grow up. But then I noticed that it's like the big man up above just take care of everything. Because when I was in the hospital, really, and persons, my coworkers at the time, they came and they were like crying, they were like falling, some fainting on the ground after seeing me and all of that. And I was like the one cheering them on and like, because I'm a jovial person.
Yeah.
And I would like, "Why are you doing that? Why are you guys crying? Leave that to, the suckers," and, trying to cheer them up. So I really don't know, but it's like I was prepared to transition because I haven't felt sorry for myself or anything like that. So maybe those are some of the things that keep me, from pitying myself. And I hate people pitying me. So just to drop that in. So please don't show me a little pity.
No problem.
All right, so we won't. So,
Good.
Marcia, Jamaicans are very infamous for nicknaming people based on their work, the disabilities. Yourself started
Oh,
called
yes.
Starry. Them find all different names, Wani and stuff like that. Do you find this offensive? And what would you say to people who continue to do this?
I would say, I mean, there are people out there who actually don't have the strength to endure like things like those, or to just shake it off and put it behind them. So for persons who are not so strong, I wish people wouldn't do that.
Yes.
But for me it's kind of different. But to speak to the ones out there who can't withstand this type of pressure,
Yes.
people just need to stop. People just need to stop, because I actually experienced somebody mistreating or discriminating someone, and I felt bad for the person because the person couldn't stick up for themselves. And when I like go someplace and I have to interact with persons, and they kind of giving it because they see you in a wheelchair and they would like look down. Just last week, I went into a bank, and I went over to speak with the customer service lady. I the person she was talking to before, she wasn't kind of having that attitude. So when I went to her and I handed her the thing and I was asking her a question, and she was like answering me like, yeah. So I had to speak up and I said, "No, you don't do that. You don't talk to people like that." And then when she realized that I'm not a pushover, not because I'm in a wheelchair, you can speak to me how you want and how you feel like, then she kind of come around and start talking differently. So it's just for persons to, find the strength and the courage to speak up. So when we speak up, then persons will have a different view and start behaving differently.
Yes.
But for people out there discriminating, just stop it.
Okay.
It's
I have
not
a
pretty.
question for you, Marcia. Being that you mentioned the bank, it leads me to my next question. Do you think Jamaica has enough infrastructures that are suited for people living with disabilities?
Oh no, we have a far way to go.
Yeah.
Because like when I travel, like pretty much all everywhere I go, you have access to here. You have to like pick and choose where you need to go. If you want to go out and chill, you have to look at how many places you have to call around. Is this place accessible? Is it? And then it's something that needs improvement in Jamaica.
Yes.
A lot of improvement because I'm experienced enough with the situation to know that we have a far way to go.
I mean, the other day there was an event happening, and I saw the sidewalk. It was covered in cars. I mean, there was nowhere for pedestrians to walk. And I considered, what about someone living with a disability? What about someone who was blind? How would they operate? How would they navigate? So we, as the citizens, we do have a lot to do internally. But in terms of the government of Jamaica, what do you think needs to be done to improve to meet the needs of persons living with disability?
All right, the government, first and foremost, not just the government but private sector, need to ensure that these are the little things that important and that is life saving for persons with disability. Because if you can't access a ramp and you try to go up otherwise to the space, it can be detrimental. So for the government, they need to put stricter rules. Yes, the Disability Act is there to give persons with disability an opportunity, but they need to ensure that these buildings that they're putting up, there's access for all. So even though the law is there to say every public space needs to be accessible, it's still not. Even hospital, doctor's office and stuff, you have them upstairs on a plaza or something like that. You can't access it. So these are the things that government needs to ensure that there's access for all, because everybody must live a livable life. You're disabled, but you're still able. So let us be able.
All right, Marcia, we thank you for that. So we'll be right back. So you're listening to JASL After Dark on the Bridge 99 FM. We'll be right back.
What Blackstar said, JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark. What you talking about the day? The night part. JASL After Dark. JASL After Dark.
All right, welcome back to JASL After Dark. If you're just joining us, JASL After Dark is brought to you by Jamaica Aid Support for Life, reminding you the best gift, taking care of your health, and ensuring that you know your status. Contact Jamaica Aid Support for Life for free HIV and syphilis tests. Now, today, it's International Women's Day, and we are joined by some lovely women to discuss the topic, Strength of a Woman. Now, joining the conversation now, we have Miss Camellia Brown. I don't know how you have my last name. I may forget it right now.
Welcome, my love. Happy International Women's Day to you.
Happy International Women's Day to you too, and
Thank
to all
you.
the women out there.
Yes.
So we want to get straight into it. And, before we get into the depth of our interviews, we normally like to hear the backstory. So tell us, what was childhood like for you?
Well, my childhood was, I had a fun childhood, but it was up and down, and it was faced with challenges. I grew up with my aunt. I called her mommy, so you hear me say mommy, I'm referring to my aunt. And growing up with my aunt, her husband was abroad. So as a result, you grow in a country. So as a country girl, everybody is family. And so you leave the child with the neighbors.
Right.
You leave with the cousin, you leave with the auntie. And as a result of that, it opened up me to a lot of trauma, sexual trauma that happened. But I must say that it basically paved the way for the work that I'm doing right now. But as a child, I learned many things. I learned how to be a lady. I learned how to be a wife. Learned how to eat with knife and fork. With my grandmother planting gungo
Etiquette.
and something. I plant gungo and we're outside, we're cooking, you're roasting, what you call it, cow foot and them something there. Yeah, man. So I had a fun childhood mixed with pain.
Yeah.
But I came out on top.
Okay, nice. Happy to hear.
Diamonds are made under pressure. That's what I'm saying.
Always.
That's right.
So, as we talk about International Women's Day, a number of Jamaican women would have experienced some form of abuse,
That's true.
So this was actually your reality. When was the first time you experienced this?
Well, I can't really say the specific age, but I know it's started around when I was 6, 7, thereabout. I remember, because the brain does this thing where it protects us.
Yes.
So oftentimes you don't remember, maybe in you're 15, but the body remembers, but you can't really put your finger on it. But when you start to deal with the issue, or maybe you're triggered by something, that memory comes back, whether in a dream or... But the brain have a way of say, okay, I need this to be dealt with right now. And that's when I remembered one day, my mother, one evening, I left the neighbor and I came home and my mother, she was beating me because there were stains on my underwear. And she really beat me and said that it was my fault. And I wondered for many years, why was I so bitter against my mother? But it's because of those things that I felt as though she never protected me. But then I recognized that one thing with trauma, whenever a parent faces trauma, and it is unresolved, it makes it more difficult for them to deal with their child's trauma.
So
yes.
you spoke about your mother beating you as if it was your fault, and that might have affected how you were able to share stuff with her. So with experiencing abuse, were you able to tell anyone or get help?
Well, I tried. I tried telling persons, but the reality is that they did not believe me. And when you grow a country, the reality, everybody talk to everybody. So you do any little thing and them you see you get beaten. We grew up in church. So, mother share with the sister say, oh, she rude and me have to beat her. And I never had that trusting relationship with her because of that. So as a result, I never really shared. And I remember once, though, I shared with my grandmother, and the reality of life is that she did nothing. I remember she said to me, I was saying that somebody's tickling me and I feel uncomfortable because I know it's not good touch, because I know what it feels like.
Yes.
And she said to me, no, man, I just play with it. I say play with everybody.
Right.
So I felt disappointed, and I learned as a child that you can't really tell anybody anything because they're not going to believe. So you really have to just stand up for yourself. Shaniel Muir, she has this song. It's called Born Rich.
Yes.
Right? And she said that, and that song resonates with me. She said she didn't know that it was a pedophilia pattern.
Yes.
Right? She thought it was normal. She almost thought it was normal. That's what my life was like. I almost
thought it was
normal.
Right. So how did this affect you growing up?
Well, the reality, my brain again went into protection mode, and I was very quiet.
A defense mechanism for
yes.
you.
I became very introverted, but I'd smile and I would just sit. So nobody knew my personality, my real personality. I'd go to school and they can tell you that in high school, I just existed. Like I never really said anything to anybody. Hi, how are you doing? And I smile and I go about my business. I never really had a lot of friends because I didn't know how to keep relationships, friendships, whatever it was. Right. Because it was just me alone in my own
not trusting
corner.
Anybody, and
so
you don't want the disappointment.
No.
Right. You can go ahead.
You're a Christian woman.
Yes, I am.
Right? And have you ever questioned God about, why did this happen to me?
Of course. Like, come on. Like, me, I wonder, like, God, why me? Like, when I started remembering, so I allowed myself to remember the things and to experience the emotions. I bawl and I said, God, what is? Why me? Why me? I forgot through them and something so much. Because, let me share. By the time I was 13, I was molested by about 10 persons, including 2 females.
Yes.
right? So that must have been hard for a
Definitely.
young lady to
Yes,
go through.
definitely.
And to process all of that. The reality of life is that God held me together. It was my relationship with God. And even when I did not know him, as a child, he said to me, read Psalms 91. I was in my bed crying, right? But having that faith in God has really been my rock and my shield. And God, guess what? God said to me one day, Camelia, why not you?
Yes.
And that like blew my mind, like, what? Why not me? I mean, nobody wants to go through this. But then I recognize that there's a calling upon my life. And I must say this one important thing, because oftentimes people ask this question: why is it that God allows bad things to happen to good people?
Always.
People have choice, and God has to respect the freedom of choice, right? So the perpetrators made a decision to inflict wound on me, to molest me. Yes, him could have stopped it, but he had to respect their choice.
Yes.
What he did, he kept me, he comforted me, and today I can tell you that I'm here, free, and I'm liberated from it, and I give God
Give a
thanks.
testimony. Nice. So being a Christian life coach, what are some of the issues you assist others to overcome?
Well, as a Christian life coach, I help people with dealing with like their self-image and answering that question too, because God, why me?
Yes.
And with answering that question, you have to have your own personal relationship with God, spending that time in the Word and really being honest and open with God. Persons also have problem with relationships, bonding.
Yes.
So I help persons to heal from attachment injuries using the word of God. So yes, you normally go to God and you bawl and you say, Lord, I want this, but I don't know. And you keep going back to God because you don't believe him, because you will have developed anxious attachment as a child.
Yes,
but you
yes.
need to be secure in order to understand that God is going to give it to you, or he has already answered your prayer. So just trust him. And now when you open the word of God and you see, like in Isaiah 40 verse 1, where when Israel was crying out, he said to Isaiah, comfort ye, my people. He spoke so softly to Israel, even though Israel had apostatized. Right? And those are the language that I use when I'm coaching my clients.
Oh,
and let
nice.
them see God in his truest sense and as who we
Okay.
are.
So Camelia, one question I really want to ask you, what advice would you give to a young girl or a young woman who would have faced sexual abuse and feels like there's no way out?
One advice. Girl, listen.
Talk to her. She's listening. She's listening.
And not just girl, but even our men, because our men have
Yes.
gone through abuse as well. I want you to know that you are special. I want you to know that you did not cause it upon yourself. It's not what you were. It's not what you did. It's not the family that you were born in. You did not ask for it. And know that it has happened. Just know that you can heal. Allow yourself to go through the emotions, to feel it. But not only that, ensure that you get professional help.
Right.
Yes, it is important, because oftentimes we think that we can heal by ourselves, or we do DIY therapy, which is YouTube
Yes.
and other things. Some people
Read
use
that one article.
other people use drinking, sex and gambling, and
Alcohol and
so many
abuse
other
and all of
things.
that.
But it is important that we seek professional help, so that they are able to guide you along the healing process.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you think the church promotes sexual health enough?
Some churches. Some churches do. I know for my church, as a Seventh-day Adventist, we promote sexual health. We try to educate persons on sexuality as young as teenagers. So we have like books like Tween, getting to know who you are as an individual. We had book on counseling, marriage. Yeah, we have a whole heap of
lot
stuff.
of things. All
Yes.
right.
So thank you for that, Camila. I mean, sharing your strength. I mean, I'm happy to hear how boldly, how strongly you can speak about those experiences. And that's really why we're here tonight, discussing the strength of a woman. We're taking a break on JASL After Dark. We'll be back.
Right back.
JASL After Dark. What you talking about the day? The night part. JASL JASL After Dark. JASL
All right, welcome back to JASL After Dark on the Bridge 99 FM. We're continuing our International Women's Day conversation with Janelle Simpson, who is an author and philanthropist.
Good night. Happy International Women's Day, Janelle.
Thank you. Happy International Women's Day to you too.
Thank you. Welcome.
So, Janelle, you are an author, philanthropist, a podcast, and so much more. Do you think, as a society, we appreciate how excellent our women are at multitasking?
No,
No?
I don't think.
Why?
I don't think society does. I think it's unexpected. I think that society didn't expect that women were going to rise up like that, and I don't think that society thought that women were capable of so much. I think society still wants to stick into the ancient days where women were kind of, not doing anything, staying at home, just taking care of the family. But we're trying. We're getting there. I appreciate that we're trying to acknowledge our women today.
Trust me, because some women these days are dominate some roles where men normally dominate, So we're getting there. We're evolving. So what were some of the challenges you endured, growing up, and how were you able to overcome these challenges?
I always say I was my biggest challenge.
Yes.
I was always in my own head, telling myself I wasn't good enough. That subconscious mind that you have that will tell you you're not good enough. You're not supposed to step out of this category that you fit in. So I literally had to talk to myself daily and say, you are worthy, you are important, you are capable, and you don't have to fit in a box because people tell you that that's the category you're supposed to fit in, because that's the background you came from or who your parents are. So,
all right.
Women are often perceived as money lovers and selfish. But I'm happy you're here because you're a philanthropist. Why is it important for you to give back? And do you focus on young girls specifically?
It's important to give back because it's important to demonstrate to everybody that they can also become just like you. Giving back, you're giving power to other people when you give back. And you're basically overflowing into them so that now they can pour out.
Right.
And then in turn, it's a circle. That's how the generation goes, by
forward.
us giving back.
Yes.
Right? And if we don't do that, then how's our generation going to grow?
Yeah.
Everybody says, okay, we're building a legacy, generational wealth. What is generational wealth?
Yes.
It's not just money. It's the seeds that we plant. It's the morals that we instill in people. And if we're not doing that, what are we really doing?
Yes.
Right?
Do you focus on young girls?
Not just young girls, women as well.
Women.
Yeah, women, young girls, men too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like men get left out a lot too, and we forget that they have emotions.
Right.
And they go through struggles in life too that we don't understand.
True that.
Sometimes, even in society now, we see black men going through a lot.
Yes.
And we're labeling them and saying, oh, they're just this, they're just that. But they went through something too. Just like how women are breaking down and we're acting out.
They go through the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. So no, I don't just focus on women and young girls, men as well.
It's everybody, the whole community.
The whole community needs us.
Okay. So you have a book that's called The Commitment to a Deceitful Liar. Yeah. What is the book about, and why that title?
So this title came to me 8 years ago.
It's here. Yes.
And it's here.
Yes.
So I'll give you a quick background story. When my son was approximately 2 years old, I was at home and I opened the computer to my partner at the time's Facebook page, and he had sent his cousin a message saying that he thinks that he has a girl in Jamaica pregnant. And his cousin responded with, well, what she doesn't know won't hurt her. And literally in that moment, God said, you're repeating a cycle. You're repeating a generational cycle that happened with your parents. And you said that you were going to break those cycles.
Yes.
So what I did was I never healed. I started a relationship. He came in with his own toxic generational cycles, and I came in with mine. And we just started living and repeating everything. And God said, Commitment to a Deceitful Lie will be your first book title, because we're committed to so many things, so many lies, so many generational patterns that are basically forced onto us as a child. You see your mom living in a relationship,
Yes.
chances are you're going to end up creating the same relationship that your mom had when you saw her when you were growing up, right? The book is about me being molested when I was younger by my uncle. It talks about being raised in an abusive household and not realizing that was an abusive household. I thought it was absolutely normal.
Yes.
That's what a relationship is supposed to look like. That's how a man's supposed to talk to a woman. When a man says, shut up, you're supposed to shut up when he says, shut up. It talks about my brother being my father. Him having to be my father at a young age. And he helped raise me and instilled so many things in me as a woman today.
Yes.
Generally, I mean, Jamaica women, or women in general, they have a lot of stories, and we can see that with the guests who've been on the show tonight. And what advice would you have for them if they want to start writing or documenting their stories in a book like you have?
Don't shave off pieces of yourself. Write everything.
Authentic. Give it to it raw, honest,
give it raw,
candid.
Don't
put
hold
it
back
out there.
pieces. Somebody told me, hold back pieces for yourself. You don't have to share everything. And I'm like,
yes.
If you're holding back pieces of it for yourself and you're not writing it the way that you want people to receive it, the person's life that you're supposed to save or change, they're not going to receive that message. So you have to write it with intention. If you want to be a writer, write with intention. Have an intention when you start first.
Yes.
How do you want people to read your book? How do you want them to receive it? What impact do you want them to get from your book?
Right.
I find that a lot of people are just writing books because it's the new wave now. That's not what writing a book is about. You have to have purpose, intention, and your motive.
Yes, I agree. A woman is always, thinking, we always have this thing, we have to think 10 steps ahead and we have things for that, and all of these things, whether it's personal or professional. So my question to you is, what are some projects and activities that you plan on working on soon? Because you must, I think, more like your next book for come up, your next project that you have to do to help somebody who is in need or something. What are the projects you have coming up?
I lose sleep over this.
Oh.
I lose sleep thinking about this. I'm always in my mind thinking about what's the next move. What I'm really trying to work on is being able to donate and set up workshops and do things in Jamaica right now. Today I went to Manchester to donate laptops to a school.
Oh, nice.
Which was amazing experience. I'm working on turning my book into a TV series. That's only book number 1, but it's 3 series book.
Okay.
I just finished my first children's book with my son and my daughter, and my second one's coming out next month.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
And I'm also going to go to school to become a screenwriter.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Strength of a woman tonight. Strength of a woman tonight. I love that.
Like that you have all the plans, the motive, you know where you want to go.
Yeah.
What do you think about women who go after men? Suggesting, they are the ones who look man. What do you think about that? Because you're talking about knowing where you want to go and all of that, We want to know what you think about that. Is that okay?
Is that something you're going to go after?
Is that
after a man?
Yeah, you play that role?
Is that a woman's role?
I think it's okay. I don't think a woman should be too forceful, because I do find that a lot of women are being forceful. I want you, so I'm going to go after you and go and get what I want by any means. And I don't think a woman should do that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman telling a man, okay, well, I like you and I want to get to know you and let's, see how it works.
Yeah. Okay.
But the whole woman proposing to man, off limits.
Keep it traditional.
No, keep it traditional.
All right, I like that. I don't have a problem with that.
So do you think marriage and kids are for all women?
No.
No way.
No, I don't. I don't think so. Some women, they just don't want to get married, and that's okay.
And some women don't want to have kids.
And some women don't want kids,
Yeah.
and I think that's okay.
I agree with you.
My last question for you, though, Janelle. Do you think women have equal opportunities as men in Jamaica?
No.
No?
No.
Why?
Why?
That's our next topic, We need our next. We need our
That's
next
going to be a
hour
long
for that.
topic.
Yeah,
I just think that
things to cover.
sometimes Jamaican men are okay with being stuck in their own ways. They're okay with women just being like this, and them being like this.
All right.
So
All right.
it's still a battle. But they have to understand that a woman's your backbone as well.
Right.
And sometimes the woman's going to take the lead. And some of the women's are going to take on bigger roles.
Yeah.
You got to be okay with that. Because if your woman doesn't have that strength like you have, then who's going to carry the family?
Teamwork.
If something were to
Teamwork.
happen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So men have to get with it now and understand
have
that,
to
you
get
know,
They get
women
in
are-
it. They get in it.
And
They
I
get
mean,
in it.
for the persons who want to read your story in this book, where can they get it?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, on all the online platforms.
Okay.
Oh, top seller.
Oh, it's a top seller.
Top
It's
seller.
a top seller.
Awesome.
All right,
That's-
guys, you
that's
better grab the
commitment.
book. It's called Commitment to a Deceitful Liar by Janelle Simpson.
All right, and with that, we are at the end of another show. I mean, it happened so fast because
Yes.
it really was an interesting. It was a discussion where women shared their stories and
Yes.
shared their strength, and we are happy that we could have had this conversation on this International Women's Day. Thank you, Janelle, for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Most definitely.
Thank you to our other guests as well for joining us tonight. So this is JASL After Dark, brought to you by Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, reminding you that we provide free HIV and syphilis testing.
But before we go, Calvin, I just want to shout out happy birthday. Today is your birthday, of course. You thought we forgot, huh? So happy birthday
Thank
to
you,
my
thank
lovely
you.
co-host. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
So this is your girl Shade. You can find me on all socials at Fetish Secrets Limited, Fetish Secrets LLC. Visit my website at www.fetishsecrets.com.
All right, so up next on the Bridge 99 FM, we have Ragashanti Live. See you next week.
At 8 p.m. Don't forget, next week it's 8 p.m., guys. Not 9 o'clock, it's 8 p.m. See you next week on the Bridge 99 FM at 8 p.m.